Today we're going to be looking at a very interesting bike, otherwise known as the Big Red Pig. And that is the Honda XR650R. Honda's off-road lineup of XRs starts with a very small bike, the XR50, then it has the XR75, XR100, XR200, XR400, XR650L, XR600, and of course the XR650R. I might have missed a few in there, but they do have a great lineup with the XR brand. The XR650R is very different than the L version, so don't confuse those. It's easy to get confused when you're talking about dual sports, but dual sports come in many shapes and forms. I'm putting all of these together, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. But there are very dirt-oriented bikes like the WR450, and then there's less dirt-oriented bikes like the BMW GS and the V-Strom. And it really depends on what type of riding you want to do. If you want to do more dirt-oriented, you have to pick a bike that's more capable of dirt. Now, the problem with picking a bike that's more dirt-oriented is that oftentimes they're not legal. You have to make them legal by putting a dual sport kit. The XR650R is one of those bikes that you need a dual sport kit because it's a dirt-only bike. If you wanted to make it a dual sport, you need a kit on it. So why would anybody get a 650R over a WR450F? The reason is it's a lot more stable, it's a lot more reliable, it's a big hulking motor, and because of its wheelbase that's so long, it makes it a much more comfortable bike for dual sporting. And with its 5-speed transmission, it could wheelie in every single gear, and you basically ripped up the streets if you wanted to tear up sport bikes. This thing was capable of going 100 miles an hour and beat sport bikes to 100 miles an hour. The reliability on the XR650Rs have been amazing. This bike was so popular in the Baja 1000, it was capable of doing 100 mile an hour speeds and able to do it for hours upon hours. It wasn't the fastest, but the wheelbase and the power combined with its durability made the XR a machine that kept owners happy and riding. The bike stock only made 43 horsepower at 6,700 RPM. But what owners do was uncorking it, and uncorking it gave you 55 horsepower with just a few mods, and that gave you a 27% increase. This made it an extremely great bike to ride, wheelies in every single gear with just the throttle. Of course, the XR650R was not legal for street stock. You had to make it legal by putting a dual sport kit on it, but it was a very easy process. And of course, you didn't have an electric start on it. You had a very large kickstart that you had to kick over. But there are procedures for kicking it over and starting it every time. My XR650R, no matter where I dropped it, how I dropped it, what time it was, there was a procedure of starting the bike when it was extremely cold, and it always started on first kick once you found top dead center. So what makes the XR650 so great? First, the pricing on it was a lot lower than a lot of the other bikes out there. And if you put a dual sport kit, you had a very large dirt bike that was capable of hanging with small dirt bikes on trails, and a really great motor to get onto highway speeds and keep it there. And with a 650, you could beat most sport bikes off the line. Of course, for only a small amount of time, but it was always quicker if you could keep the front wheel down. Not that I've tried. Of course, with lightweightness and power, you basically went through tires like crazy, especially if you used them on the road and in asphalt. Now, this bike has been gaining a lot of loyalty since its production end, and people have been scavenging for this bike left and right, and the prices on this thing have been going up and up. It's a great bike, and if you can get one of these in the used market for less than $4,000, it's probably worth getting because it just holds its value. People are starting to see that they want a very comfortable dual sport that's much better than any of the adventure bikes that's out there. This thing just tears it up. It is an extremely nimble bike for something so large. It's affectionately known as the Big Red Pig because it's so large, but when you start riding this thing, you do learn to ride it very well in single tracks, and it's the sort of bike that will hang with any 450 or even 250s. Sometimes riders don't want a V-Strom or a CB500 and converting it to a dirt bike. They need a bike like a DXR because you're basically doing more dirt than road. If your idea of dirt is single track, gnarly hills, take some gear with you to a camp, the XR650R is pretty perfect. It's lightweight, it weighs about 277 pounds dry, and you can pick it up and move it around, and definitely feels like a toy compared to a V-Strom or a BMW GS. We all know that adventure bikes are all watered down street bikes, but the XR650R gave you the ability of using it as a dirt bike. This is a dirt bike. There is no pretense of it being a road bike. This is why the XR650R is probably one of the best dual sports you can possibly get if you can find one cheap enough. The only problem is you can't find these anymore. But if you do manage to find one of these in stock form or non-stock form, get it. It's only going to appreciate in value when you have bikes like KTM Adventures and Honda Forget Twins that cost like $15,000. When you get on an XR650R, it feels like a raw amount of power beneath you. It's an incredible feeling. It makes riding extremely exciting, even if you just do it on the road. Go out and get one if you can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Hey, I'm Anthony, the Vehicle Hunter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page and please like us on Facebook. Vehicle Hunter.